Good evening. Welcome to the Kent County Levy Court business meeting for Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. We're meeting in the Levy Court chambers, room 203 at the Kent County Administrative Complex at 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware. Before I officially open the meeting, I'll turn it over to the County Administrator to explain how people can join us by WebEx and or phone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. As the President indicated, this meeting is being offered via the internet for guests joining us using WebEx platform. And for those folks who may be online, a couple of brief instructions. If you're using a mobile phone, we ask that you keep your device on mute until such time as there's an opportunity for you to provide commentary to the Levy Court if you wish to do so. And at that time, press *3 on your mobile phone and it'll raise an electronic hand on our dashboard. We'll be able to see you and invite you into the room. And if you're on a desktop or laptop, the WebEx screen will have a raise hand icon that you can activate, deactivate at the appropriate times for public comment. All public comments are to be preceded by stating your name and address for the record, and if you're speaking during a public hearing, you will be sworn in by the county attorney prior to your comments. This is a business meeting of the Levy Court, and as a business meeting, we're following the adopted rules of procedure for business meetings that Levy Court has established, along with the Mason's Rules of Order. Mr. President, back to you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order, and I'll ask Commissioner Howe to lead us in the invocation, Commissioner Buxton, the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Sweeney, moment of silence for our troops and first responders. All rise, please.
Heavenly Father, we acknowledge your presence tonight and ask your blessings in all of our proceedings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to honor our military, law enforcement, firefighters, and paramedics and other first responders who have lost their lives in the line of duty, protecting and fighting for our freedoms. We also honor all first responders and medical staff who have succumbed to COVID-19 virus complications, contracted through close interaction with infected patients, losing their lives caring for others. And this continues even today. Please remember these individuals who died in the line of duty and keep their families in your thoughts and prayers as they deal with the loss of their loved ones. Investigator Maisha Brianna Stewart from the Greenville Police Department in Mississippi, Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte from the Bristol Police Department in Connecticut, Sergeant Alex Hamsey from the Bristol Police Department in Connecticut, Police Officer True Tai from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department in Nevada, Police Officer Stephen R. Notham from the Carrollton Police Department in Texas, Officer Jorge Arias from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Fire Inspector William Klobus from the Fire Department of New York. These ladies and gentlemen lost their lives in the line of duty. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Ms. Tanaka, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Present.
Mr. Buxton?
Present.
Mr. Hall?
Here.
Mr. Howell?
Here.
Mrs. Maston?
Present.
Mr. Sweeney?
Here.
Mr. Pepper?
Here.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 present.
Thank you. We do have all the commissioners here. We do have quorum. Need a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Motion reveals the adoption of tonight's agenda is passed. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda 22-13.
Move to approve consent agenda 22-13, Mr. President.
Second the motion?
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Angel to approve the consent agenda 22-13. Unless there's any questions, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Question, statement of clarification. It's a consent agenda with 2 items. I'm in opposition of 1, so my response is a no.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you. Roll call reveals consent agenda 22-13 has been passed by Levy Court. We have 2 presentations this evening. I don't know if we're going to be able to do the first one or not. Is anyone here? Do you know? I don't think so. It's recognizing Native American Heritage Month, which is the month of November. So we can move that on to next month. We got a whole month to be able to do it. So move that on. Next item is Employee of the Month for November. Mr. Tanaka, can we have that read into the record, please?
Kent County Department heads have selected Robert D. Wood II from the Department of Community Services as the November 2022 Employee of the Month. Robert, a Parks Worker 1 in the Parks and Recreation Division, has worked for Kent County since November of 2020. His primary duties include operating various park equipment, troubleshooting and repairing minor equipment, inspecting and maintaining park equipment, and grooming athletic fields and landscapes of the county park properties. In addition, Robert is responsible for removing debris, ice, and snow from sidewalks and other areas. He also picks up and/or delivers goods and equipment as necessary. Recently, Robert took the lead role with repairing and improving the Lebanon Landing Fish Pier and Boat Dock. He led staff in replacing handrails and decking boards to keep the facility safe and user-friendly. More recently, he has been involved with replacing the drinking fountain at Brecknock Park, repairing the outlook deck near the Nature Center, and was heavily involved with our irrigation maintenance and repair this year. He also provides valuable input with care and maintenance of the landscapes and trees. According to Community Services Director Jeremy Shepard, Robert has shown exceptional leadership skills, communication, and the ability to prioritize to keep the parks safe and aesthetically pleasing. Robert is forthcoming with opinions and ideas while always keeping an open mind and a strong will to learn. He has become an important asset to Kent County Parks and Recreation, and we congratulate Robert on the job well done, and he resides in Commissioner Buxton's and Pepper's districts. And the tribute reads, Kent County Levy Court, November 2022, Employee of the Month, Robert D. Wood II. On this, the 25th day of October 2022, the Levy Court of Kent County, State of Delaware, does hereby recognize Robert D. Wood II, Parks Worker 1, Department of Community Services, Parks and Recreation Division, for his exceptional initiative, dedication, and conscientiousness in the delivery of services to the citizenry of the county.
Thank you. And B. Roberts here. Why don't you come on down? The commissioners will meet you out front here. Good job. Here only 2 years and already getting recognized, huh?
Right up front.
Robert, congratulations. This says a lot about you. You've only been here not quite 2 years. And you're already being recognized as Employee of the Month. As you know, some folks are here quite a few years before they get the opportunity. So we're proud of you and all the work that you do to maintain our parks. You know, we get great comments about our parks all the time, and you're part of the reason why. So we appreciate you, and of course, you'll be up for Employee of the Year by winning this month. So maybe a larger check will come to you for that. So, Al?
Yes, congratulations to you, sir. 2 years, that's a pretty good amazement right there. Shows you exactly what you're made of, and continue to do what you're doing. And please, good luck for, hopefully you have a good running for in December for the year. So please keep up the good work.
Congratulations on a job well done, and may you spend many more years of your life here with Kent County.
Robert, thanks for making us look good. You're doing a great job. Is that your little one up there? Make sure that little one comes down for a picture when you get a chance, all right? All right. Thanks, brother. Thank you.
Robert, congratulations. I love it when the Parks guys get selected for this award. We can't say enough about the whole of you, the way you guys keep up the parks. Every time I hear, Jody, there's a tree down across the path that I walk in every day, within 24 hours, you and other members of the team are out there cleaning it up. So congratulations on doing a great job of keeping our parks clean, keeping them aesthetically beautiful, and never stop sharing your opinion.
Yep, congrats.
You're done. We don't want to hear any more of it.
Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Good job. I'm glad you're with us. Stay with us another 80 years or so. We'll be happy.
Hey, Robert, earning this honor, you know what that means? That means you're a standout, and you've been noticed by other people, mainly the people you work with who nominated you. So I just want to say on behalf of all your colleagues here at the county, thank you for your great example. Keep up the fine work, and thank you very much for what you do. And your boss gets the last word, I think.
Indeed. We talk a lot about passion and service in parks and recreation, and here's a great example of somebody who has passion for the service. He did it before he came to us. He's doing it now. He's learning all sorts of new things that he wasn't doing before. But the most important thing is he's taking a leadership role here in the central part of the county. They have so many different park areas that they take care of. They have to go here and there and everywhere in the center part of the county. And he's taken a leadership role with that crew, even after year number 2. That shows his passion for working here, and we definitely appreciate that. And we hope that that leads you to bigger and better things. Thank you for your service.
Do you want to invite your significant other and come on down for the picture, Mom?
William.
So Robert, have a few words here we'd like to.
I bet he's gonna run. William. Hey, William.
Come here, buddy.
Daddy, right here.
Come here. Come here.
I see you, William.
Come on. Stand right here. Yeah, you're shy. Come on, turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Let everybody see you. So, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little nervous because I haven't spoken in front of a crowd like this since I was in high school. So, honestly, I would just like to say thank you to everyone up here. Also, I would like to recognize my supervisor, Jason Courtney. He kind of took me under his wing when I first got here, and he has helped me learn things about the Parks and Rec department that I wouldn't have caught on to without his supervision. So I would like to recognize him and all of my other fellow employees it's not just one of us. It's not just me. It's everybody. So, you know, I'm not Superman by any means. So it takes a group of us, and I would just like to say thank you again.
Well, you didn't do too bad for not spoken in front of a group since high school. So you did pretty good. Oh, there you go, there you go, there you go. Picture here. Congratulations, buddy.
Hey, gonna give me a high five? No. Okay. You're not shy, are you? Just forget it.
Okay, this time we have public hearings. First item on the agenda is petition for conditional use approval. Falls under Commissioner Buxton, application number C 2203. Mr. Buxton, turn it over to you and Ms. Kiefer.
Ms. Kiefer, come on down.
Thank you.
Give
Good
us
evening,
light.
Commissioners. Before we begin the hearings, just a word about how the hearings tonight will be conducted. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of giving the citizens of the county the opportunity to present testimony on the applications before the Levy Court. Everyone will have a chance to speak, and all statements will be made from the podium at the front of the room. For the record, please give your name and address. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification and inclusion in the record. For each application before the Levy Court, the President will introduce the application. The Levy Court will then receive testimony from all of those in favor. Testimony will then be received from those who may be opposed. After everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the hearing on the application will be closed, and the Levy Court will take what action it deems appropriate. Levy Court's decision will be based upon public hearing testimony given at this meeting and a recommendation submitted to the Levy Court by the Regional Planning Commission. I would ask that that recommendation be included by reference in the permanent record of this meeting established by the Clerk of the Peace. The public notice of this hearing was published in the October 7th, 2022 edition of the Delaware State News. The first application before the Levy Court, CS 2203, is a conditional use application for a community energy generating facility, a solar facility. The site is zoned a mix of AC, agricultural conservation, and AR, agricultural residential. The project area itself is just over 8 acres. The site is on the south side of Irish Hill Road, on the west side of Clapham Road, just south of Magnolia, inside the growth zone. The Regional Planning Commission took testimony on this application at their October 6th hearing, and at their October 13th business meeting, voted unanimously to recommend conditional approval of the application, noting it does indeed meet all of the criteria, all of the conditions of approval established by the Levy Court. So again, this comes with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. President, I'm going to ask one question. It's not complicated. It's not anything directed negative towards the application. You may have to answer it tomorrow. The remainder of the property, has its development capabilities been used up for other homes or anything like that you're aware of?
No, It could certainly be developed in the future. That's not precluded. My understanding is it will remain in agriculture for the time being.
It's fine. I know that I would certainly get a question or two down the road. So no worries. Thank you.
Any commissioners have any questions? Mr. Maston.
Mrs. Kiefer, question for you on page 5, under Dover Air Force Base. It says they recommend a glint and glare study to be conducted by the FAA since the array is located in the approach path to runway 01. Is that enforceable?
We would require the study before final approval.
Any other questions? Seeing none, at this time, we will open the public hearing on application C-2203, and we'll give those the opportunity to, those that are in favor of it, this application, to come forward and give your reasons why you are in favor.
Good evening. For the record, Mike Ryman, Becker Morgan Group, 309 South Governors Avenue, Dover, Delaware.
Mr. Ryman, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. I think you guys have heard enough testimony on solar to date, but we'll go through the record. So we are here tonight to request conditional use approval, and I got a Mike Ryman proof pointer, so appreciate that, Mark. Hopefully I don't screw it up. We are here tonight to request conditional use approval for the Blackburn Solar Project. The criteria that we have to meet is in your code. There are 4 pieces of criteria that are required to be met, and we'll demonstrate this evening that we meet those 4 criteria. Those criteria include that the location is appropriate, the public health and safety and welfare of the public will not be adversely impacted, that there's adequate off-street parking, and that necessary safeguards are provided to protect the surrounding property. Starting with the first one, the location, the property is appropriately zoned. It is located inside the growth zone. It is located just outside of Magnolia. As to the health, safety, and welfare, as you know, these projects are create minimal disturbance. They're a source of renewable energy. There's no traffic impacts, no utility impacts, no school impacts, et cetera, no drainage concerns. Parking, there's no parking needed. We have very little traffic other than some maintenance on occasion, but no traffic and no parking needed. As to safeguards, your code appropriately addresses all of those already, and this project will meet that, most specifically the buffer requirements, as well as the soils testing that is outlined in the new ordinance. In addition, I mentioned the setbacks. This project was created under the new ordinance that was adopted by this body, and this project will meet all of those criteria. You can list there, I'm not going to go through each one, but the various setbacks and buffers that were created, the landscaping requirements, the soils testing, the decommissioning plan, the bonding, et cetera, all required and included as part of this project. This shows you the site. You can see Irish Hill Road to the top, and I will attempt to use the pointer here. Actually, they advised me to use my finger. There's Irish Hill Road. There's Clapham Road, and you can see the solar array located in this portion of the overall property outlined in cyan. This shows you the location of the solar facility. It is only 8 acres of the total property there. It is located as far away as possible from the neighboring properties. There is a buffer around the site. There's some existing natural vegetation here, and then added buffer around the remaining portion. Access is through the existing pipe stem of the property to Irish Hill Road. This system is a little bit unique from what you have seen before. This is a earth-mounted system. That doesn't mean it sits on the earth. It actually sits slightly above the earth, and it is flat. So most of the systems that you've seen are angled systems. This is a little bit unique. There are some benefits of it. It actually generates a significantly smaller footprint. So to generate the same energy, it's doing this in 8 acres instead of 30 acres. And there's some reasons when you would choose a system like this versus, say, a traditional system. Land value comes into play. There wasn't enough property here to generate the required energy that would be needed with a traditional system. So a balance of land cost, et cetera. You need more panels to actually create the energy. So there's a higher expense of the panels, but because of the way they're facilitated, they're a bit more efficient there and allows this project to sit on 8 acres and produce the same amount of energy. So somewhat a little different. It does sit above the ground. It is not touching the ground. Other than that, the panels are the same as every other project.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
just point, and that's really all it is. Is this something that we'll expect to see in the future? I'm not opposed to it. I'm curious.
This is
Just
one of
a
the-
better technique in the new world.
Yeah, it's Commissioner Buxton. It's possible. There's, as I said, there's variables. So it's land cost, available land, et cetera, and whether or not that would make sense for that particular project. This is one of the only ones that we have that I've seen this way. Will that happen in the future? I'm not sure. I know really that answer, to be honest.
And basically, you're looking at a 30-acre project, but because of the technique, it's down to 8 acres.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Moving forward. So the other benefit, because it is sitting lower on the ground, a little bit easier to screen it from view, right? So the buffers that are required are still the same buffers provided as would normally be required. This is showing you a view. You can see the arrow showing the direction of the view. And then, with the buffers added, clearly not going to be visible. You're not going to see it. This project went through actually a lot of community outreach. You can see all the dates listed there, various visits to the neighborhood, multiple mailers, actually 2 different community meetings. So a lot of public outreach there to inform the community about what was happening here. Lots of good conversation. And we did end up receiving, as part of the mailers, 4 no objections and 3 objections. And obviously the objections are what create this process here this evening. We have reviewed the staff report, and we have no issue with the glare study that was talked about. We'll provide that prior to final approval. We don't have any problem with that being a condition of the approval. We don't have any issues with the rest of the staff report. And as Ms. Kiefer had indicated, the Regional Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval. With that, I'd be happy to answer any further questions you may have.
Mr. Sweeney, one statement real quick. Go back to the other one.
Oh.
1, 2, right there. Oh, back again.
One more? There?
No. To where you inform the community.
Oh, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, it appears like it's not really relevant, but boy, that's the why, right? That's the why that we're showing up here tonight with basically a seamless transition. The outreach, that's well done, and I appreciate that because this is in the heart of my community in an area where I can guarantee I would get a lot of calls. But because of the outreach, your professionalism and recognizing where we were in regards to solar, I think this is the why that in your packet you don't see the hate letters. What you see are letters of support. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Commissioner Sweeney?
Thanks, sir. So, Mr. Ryman, you're representing Chaberton Energy?
Yes, sir. And they're here this evening.
So just to follow up on one of Mr. Buxton's questions, and it might be pertinent to some of the other projects we've looked at in the past few months, what would happen if someone came in and wanted to develop the rest of that property into homes? What's Chaberton's position on that?
I don't know. I don't know the details of the agreement. Ryan Boswell is here from Chaberton. Maybe it's best, Ryan, if you want to answer that particular question. But I'm not privy to the agreement they have with the landowner.
I'm just curious. I mean, it's pertinent to some of the other projects because they take such a small footprint for the solar. Still leaves a lot of land to stay in agriculture or to be developed into, a few homes. I mean, once the solar is there, those new homes can't complain about the solar being there because they're aware of it. But
I don't think there's anything, as Ms. Kiefer had said, I don't think there's anything in the code that would necessarily prohibit it unless there was some agreement between the parties.
Okay.
And that I'm not privy of.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hey, good evening, Mike. Regarding the glint and glare study that was referenced and you indicated you'd be doing it, once that's done, what happens with the findings, and will they influence the ultimate construction in any way, or is it just information that will be provided to the airbase that it causes glare during certain times of the day, or what is the likely outcome of a glint and glare study?
The likely outcome is that there'd be no impact. These solar facilities are actually located at airports in many cases. Numerous airports have them, given the land that's available around them. You'll see them at many airports. So the likely outcome is that it'll show no impact.
Is there any potential that it would affect the development anyway?
No, I don't think so.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience in favor? Anyone else in the audience in favor? Please come forward. Anyone in the audience opposed? Anyone in the audience opposed? Mark, do we have anyone on the phone?
We have no general public online at this time.
Okay, thank you. Anyone now in the audience opposed? Any questions from the commissioners for a closed public hearing? Close the public hearing on application C-2203 and turn it over to Commissioner Buxton for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I make a motion that we approve application C-2203, Blackburn Solar and ISCON of Delaware Incorporated, for a community solar project. I'd like it to include in my motion the positive confirmation by the Regional Planning Commission and the exhibits referenced within our packets tonight for that approval, as well as the staff recommendation.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Buxton, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, this time can we have roll call?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, reason stated by Commissioner Buxton.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Hall?
Yes, per staff and RPC recommendations.
Mr. Howell?
Yes, yes, reasons stated.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, for reasons stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, for reasons stated.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, for reasons stated. And in addition, it appears as though the company has done everything they can to make this as least amount of intrusiveness to the neighborhood. So, yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals application C-2203 has been approved by Levy Court. Thank you. Continuing with public hearings, next item is petition for the conditional use approval. Falls under Commissioner Sweeney and Ms. Kiefer.
Thank you. The next application, C-2204, is another conditional use application for a community solar facility. The project area for this site is 35.6 acres on the south side of West Evans Road, west of South Railroad Avenue, just west of Viola. It is zoned AR, agricultural residential. The Regional Planning Commission took testimony on the application at their October 6th hearing, and at their October 13th business meeting, voted unanimously to recommend conditional approval. It again meets all of the criteria in the recently adopted solar ordinance. So again, it comes with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions by the commissioners, from commissioners? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I open the public hearing on application C-2204. And I'll ask anyone who's in the audience, please come forward and present testimony as why this should be approved. Anyone in the audience?
Back again, Mike Ryman, Becker Morgan, 309 South Governors Avenue, Dover, Delaware. And I'll wait for the slides to load. I think there's the other one there. Yep, there we go. No worries. So I'm here this evening representing ECA Solar. I have Mr. Redding is here behind me with me. Same process as the previous one, but for the record, we'll go through it. Again, have to meet the conditional use standards that are in your code. They are listed there on the screen. I'm not going to regurgitate those again. But again, the location of this is Located on the west side of the county, it is just outside the town of Viola, adjacent to rail. The public and safety and health and welfare will not be impacted, again, for the reasons stated on the screen and in your packet. No parking issues, meets all the buffering, meets all the soil testing requirements per your code. Same thing with the setbacks here. Meet all the new setbacks that were created and all of the requirements outlined in the code with respect to landscaping, soil study, decommissioning, and bonding. The site specifically this is a much larger site, 132 acres, located along West Evans Road here to the top of the screen, and then Turkey Point Road there. The rail is along the Turkey Point Road side of the property. The site is 35 acres of fenced area, 25 acres of panels. You can see those located in two different configurations, with them located mainly on this portion of the property and leaving the back portion here and the existing woods intact. There are buffers provided in this location, along this side, and also along the perimeter of the property. The only place is with the existing natural buffer that's already there as well. The property will be fenced and screened. You can see that this is actually a view. So we did receive, this particular project received, I believe, 13 no objections and 1 objection. The 1 objection came roughly from a neighbor that's located roughly where that arrow is. And you can see this is a view from across Turkey Point Road, across the railroad. And you can see with the addition of the landscaping and trees, the buffering there would screen the project from that particular neighbor from view. This is just some additional views of that, a 7-foot high fence there, the 2 rows of trees that are required. The fence, that was a point of discussion at the Planning Commission meeting about what's the type of fence. These facilities typically consist of a wire mesh fence with 4-inch by 4-inch openings, which allows for small animals and wildlife to go through them. In addition to that, there are small spaces of about 16 by 16 inches every 150 feet or so that can allow, a small fox or something like that to migrate through. So small animals and wildlife can continue to migrate through and not be impacted as much. So we do specify these types of fences for these projects. I show this here because that was a question at the Planning Commission. We provided this as the follow-up to the Planning Commission before they acted on the application. There was also a question at Planning Commission about property values. We provided in their packet, and it should have obviously transferred to yours, that there have been a couple of studies done that do demonstrate that there is not a negative impact to surrounding properties due to solar, and happy to answer questions on that if there are any, but there is no impact there. As to the outreach here, there were a total of 56 total neighbors notified on this project, 13 no objections to the project received, 1 objection to the project that we already discussed, which is why we're here this evening. We did review the Planning Commission recommendation, the planning staff's report. We don't have any objections to any of the items in the report. Staff recommended approval, as did the Regional Planning Commission. And we are here tonight requesting your approval. With that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Ryman? There's none.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience that would like to come forward, offer testimony in favor? Anyone else in the audience? Please come forward. Do we have anyone online yet?
No members from the general public online at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, I ask anyone in the audience that's opposed, to this ordinance or this application, please come forward. Anyone in the audience opposed? Okay, any questions from the commissioners before I close the... This time I'll close the public hearing on application C-2204, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Sweeney.
Thank you, sir. Just a quick comment. I was in communication with the town of Viola, who in the coming weeks are also facing a separate solar project on the east side of town. The town of Viola, none of the commissioners or council people there, nor the mayor, are in the least way objection to this property. So that was a huge motivation for me. Move to approve application C-22-04, the West Evans Community Initiative LLC, 132 plus 2 acre project area of 35.63 acres, located on south side of West Evans Road for reasons given. Community, 99% no objection, staff approval, and RPC approval.
Second?
Thank you, Commissioner. Motion made by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, reason stated by Commissioner Sweeney.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes, for the reasons stated.
Mr. Hall?
Yes, per staff and RPC recommendations.
Mr. Howell?
Yes, Rex, reasons stated.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, per my motion.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, per reason stated by Commissioner Sweeney.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals application C-2204 has been approved by Levy Court. At this time, we proceed to petition to amend comprehensive plan map and zoning map. Mrs. Maston.
Ordinance LC 22-17, an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan map, designation, and the official zoning map of Kent County, Delaware, pursuant to the provisions of Kent County Code Volume 2, Chapter 205 Zoning, Article 3, Section 205-8, and Section 205-9, and Article 28, changes and amendments effective December 1st, 2000, as amended. Reference application CZ 2206, applicant and owner Robert C. Barlow, proposed zoning district, BN, neighborhood business, area and location, ID 2.6 plus or minus acres, located on the east side of South DePaul Boulevard, approximately 1,434 feet north of Twin Willows Road and approximately 400 feet south of Ridgewood Drive, southeast of Smyrna, DC 00028.02-02-44.00-000.
Mr. Kiefer.
Thank you. As Commissioner Maston said, Ordinance LC 2217 is a proposal to amend both the zoning map and the comprehensive plan future land use map. It is currently zoned a mix of RMH, residential manufactured home, and BG, general business. The proposal is to rezone the entire parcel to BN, neighborhood business. It is just 2.6 acres. Southeast of Smyrna, inside the growth zone. The Regional Planning Commission took testimony at their October 6th hearing and at their October 13th business meeting, voted unanimously to recommend approval, citing that the proposal is indeed in keeping with the character of the surrounding area. And the area is shown as an employment center in Map 2A of the 2018 Comprehensive Plan. So it meets the criteria in Chapter 205-408 to rezone. Again, it comes with a recommendation of approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Commissioner Sweeney.
Thanks, sir. Ms. Kiefer, just for general knowledge, can you remind us what the difference is between business general and neighborhood business?
Sure. Neighborhood business is the least intense or less intense of the two. Think of it more as small shops and service, whereas general business, that zoning would be appropriate for a Walmart, for example. So much more intensive.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Mr. Kiefer? I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is an ordinance LC 22-17, public hearing. I asked anyone in the audience to please come forward that's in favor. Anyone in favor, please come forward. Still none on the phone.
No members from the general public at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. Seeing no one coming forward, anyone opposed? Anyone opposed to ordinance LC 22-17 come forward? Anyone opposed? Any questions before I close the public hearing? Don't see any. Close the public hearing on ordinance LC 22-17. Now I'll ask Commissioner Masson for a motion, please.
Move to approve ordinance LC 22-17, an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan map designation and the official zoning map of Kent County, Delaware, pursuant to the provisions of Kent County Code, Volume 2, Chapter 205 zoning, Article 3, Section 205-8 and Section 205-9, and Article 28, changes and amendments effective December 1st, 2000, as amended, reference application CZ 2206, applicant and owner Robert C. Barlow, proposed zoning district BN, neighborhood business, area and location, ID 2.6 plus or minus acres located on the east side of South DuPont Boulevard, approximately 1,434 feet north of Twin Willows Road and approximately 400 feet south of Ridgewood Drive, southeast of Smyrna, DC-00-02.02-44.00-000.
Second motion.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Masson, seconded by Commissioner Angel. Any questions on the motion before I ask for roll call? I don't see any. Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, reason stated by Commissioner Masson.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes, reasons stated, as well as the positive recommendation from RPC and staff.
Mr. Hall?
Yes, per staff and RPC recommendations.
Mr. Howell?
Yes, reason stated.
Mrs. Maston?
Reason stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, per reason stated.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, per reason stated. No one in the audience in opposition.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals ordinance LC 22-17 has been approved by Levy Court. That'll close our public hearings. And there's no old business. We have new business. Mr. Angel, Commissioner Angel, turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I have a motion to read. Due to the upcoming retirement, County Administrator Michael Pettit-Amage, with his extended terminal leave beginning on or about December 22nd, 2022, I move to appoint Personnel Director Alan Coela as Acting County Administrator for Kent County effective December 23rd, 2022, and set his compensation at grade 2138. Step A, this appointment shall expire upon selection and qualification of a new county administrator.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Howell. Any questions on the motion?
Yes.
Okay, Jody.
Thank you. Mr. Coelho, do you have a second? As an HR executive for the last 180 years or so, what does qualification of a new county administrator mean?
Well, the county attorney is better qualified to answer that question. However, I can certainly offer my interpretation of the code, which is that they have to be a resident of the county.
So this, and I've been through a number of selection processes. You can select somebody who will take their time to answer, and then take their time moving into the county and may not be appointed as a county administrator for maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks after their selection, correct? Is that correct, Counselor?
That's a possible scenario, yes.
And in the meantime, since we've done the selection and qualification, you're no longer the county administrator. We no longer have an appointed county administrator. Is there any way to make this motion so that the appointment shall expire upon the appointment of the county administrator, which would be the 7 of us sitting here? Commissioner Angel? Appointment of the county administrator? Because don't we, the 7 of us have to vote on that new county administrator, correct?
That's the motion, yes.
No, the motion says upon selection and qualification. It doesn't say appointment. The appointment could happen 6, 7 weeks after the selection and qualification of a county administrator. There's a long time between, is that not correct, Ms. Quill? That could occur.
So my understanding of the code is that the contract that you would sign with the new county administrator would not be effective until he's a resident of the county, but I'll defer to council.
So
you could sign a contract, I think, but it would, and offer the position, but until they establish residency, that contract, that tenure, that 4-year contract would not be able to begin.
Counselor?
Yeah, I can see your point that selection and qualification maybe doesn't get it done. But with all due respect, I'm not sure appointment does the job either. We're sort of assuming facts that aren't necessarily, they're hypothetical facts. I'm okay with selection and qualification personally, but I do get it that maybe isn't the perfect touch.
It's good enough for me. I suspect that we'll run into a problem if we have to have somebody officially representing the county and we've selected somebody who's not taken the position yet, which could occur.
Commissioner Buxton.
I was just going to make a joke, but we've overcooked the heck out of this stuff. It appears that there is no clear-cut resolution either, because the other side doesn't cure it either. So I'm ready to move on, because I won't be here anyway.
That is the only time you get to say that tonight.
Just going to make an addendum to it that it said, while we're at this, I make a motion that I get to be president for a day of Levy Court. I mean, we just wrecked this place. Glenn, you want in, vice president? All right.
Beyond the scope of the motion, sir. Beyond the scope.
Scratch that, moving on.
Mike.
Well, I don't know if it would solve the problem or not, but if that last sentence was changed to the appointment shall remain in effect until terminated by Levy Court.
I'm good with that. I don't want Mr. Coelho doing the job and not being compensated for it.
Neither is he. Commissioner Angel, would you want to make that amendment to the?
That's fine. I'm fine with that. Yes.
Okay. And so you made the motion and you made the second?
Second?
Okay. You want to read the motion?
Want to read it again?
Mr. Vice President, and with the amendment?
Just the end portion?
Yeah, read the whole thing.
Okay. Selection and qualification of a new administrator or until Levy Court terminates contract.
Second.
Okay. All right, motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Sweeney with the amendment. Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
I think so, yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, and thank you for considering Mr. Coelho.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed by Levy Court. Item number 2, action item from October 18, 2022 Administration Committee meeting, reference D Turf ARPA grant request. Commissioner Angel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any further questions before I read the motion? I move to approve $1.3 million in American Rescue Plan Act funding to DE Turf Sports Complex as requested in correspondence dated October 7, 2021, and is confirmed by our ARPA consultant Tetra Tech, incorporated in the memorandums dated October 13, 2022, as a qualified and substantiated request to offset negative economic impacts caused by substantial revenue loss suffered as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I direct staff to process and issue said funding promptly forthwith.
Second.
Thank you. Motion,
Move on. I'd like to recognize the D-Turf members sitting back there, including Senator Bushwell, past Senator Bushwell, and you can barely see her, but past Senator Nancy Cook sitting there too.
all right, we have the motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions? If not, a roll call, please.
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Buxton,
The secret, I've had my challenges with Tetra Tech, but they got this one right. Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Howell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed by Levy Court. Thank you, folks. We appreciate you. Keep up the good work for all of the county. Okay, we'll move on. Commissioner Sweeney.
Thanks, sir. If you remember last week, we had Jeff Brown from the Kent County Volunteer Firefighters Association, as well as members from AmeriCorps volunteers, initiated a program with us. They were actually following up from a presentation we got a couple years ago. We have numbers and I have a motion. I move to approve an annual financial commitment in the amount of $23,133 plus or minus to assist the Delaware State Fire School and Delaware Office of Volunteerism in the establishment of a firefighter recruitment program in Kent County utilizing AmeriCorps volunteers for the primary purpose of cultivating and expanding knowledge and interest among school-aged children in the volunteer fire service as a means of public service and recruitment of future firefighters. And I further move to direct county staff to work with the Delaware State Fire School and Delaware Office of Volunteerism on a mutually agreed upon payment plan with any current year cost to be derived from FY23 general fund budget contingency and with future year costs to be incorporated in the annual Kent County operating budget as a special community service grant for the AmeriCorps firefighter recruitment program.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions on that motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Buxton,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Howell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Absolutely.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed by Levy Court. Resolution 3959. Commissioner Sweeney.
Thank you, sir. Move to approve Resolution 3959, a resolution calling a public hearing upon a proposal to extend Kent County Sewage District Disposal District Number 1 Double Run Area Lands of Paris Investments Incorporated.
That is a motion. Need a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Buxton. Any questions? Seeing none, can we have roll call on that, please?
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Buxton,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Howell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3959 has been approved by Levy Court. The third item, Commissioner Sweeney.
Thank you, sir. Introduction of Resolution 3960, Kent County Sewer Disposal District Number 1, proposed sewer extension double run area Lands of Paris Investments Incorporated for public hearing on Tuesday, November 15th, 2022 at 7 p.m.
Thank you for the introduction. Mrs. Masson, you have an introduction.
Introduction of Ordinance LC 22-21, an ordinance to amend Kent County Code, Volume 1, Chapter 158, moratoriums, as amended by adding a new subsection relating to acceptance of conditional use site plan applications for public utility uses, wind energy systems for public hearing on Tuesday, December 20th, 2022 at 7 p.m.
Thank you. New business continued. Mr. Hall, you have one there.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask, for our representative from Public Safety to come down and talk about the paramedic vehicles.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Chief Faulkner apologized for not being here tonight and sent me, so you're stuck with me for a little bit. Let me keep it really short, though. He talked about the retreat. We were down with our vehicles with a shortage across the nation on getting vehicles. We were lucky to get 4 Chevy Tahoes from Hertrick down in Milford. They were able to get on the state contract. So those have been delivered, and we're just looking for approval for payment on those, which was part of the capital project.
Any questions? Commissioner Angel.
Thank you, Mr. President. These vehicles were put in the budget, correct?
Yes, sir.
They came in under budget.
So part of the budget is purchasing the vehicles, and then there's another amount to convert them. We'll get them graphicked, put the lights and sirens on, the radio and all that stuff.
But I'm just dealing with the purchase first.
The purchase, yes.
So the reason I'm asking is this shouldn't probably come back to us because it's already in the budget. It should have already been paid for because it's already been bought. It's already ordered. So that's what I'm getting to. I'm trying to streamline the process so they get their money quicker.
For the next step, which would be the conversion, we're in the process of preparing the request for written quotations. So I guess I don't know if we're going to have to come back again for that, or if we can just, as long as we are within the, the procurement policy and are under budget that's in the capital project, can we proceed with that?
I'll refer that to the county administrator, Mr. Pettermaj.
Thank you, Commissioner Angel. I agree with you on principle. I mean, these were budgeted. The budget is an ordinance that's duly adopted by Levy Court after public hearing, and you'll see that we often bring things back for reapproval, and the problem, or the reason that is there's a provision in the policy, the procurement policy, that says any expenditure over $50,000 must be approved by Levy Court. But one could argue it was already approved by Levy Court. But anyway, this is the process that has been in place. And, I'm sure that the department would have loved to not have to come tonight and just let this, but we needed to get it approved so we can get it paid. We've already taken delivery of the vehicles, and we have 30 days to pay Hertrick. And as scarce as these vehicles are, we didn't want to risk waiting until later in November. We rushed this on the agenda tonight so that we could get it dealt with now rather than later in November. We'd be pushing up against the 30-day if we wait till the 15th. So it's important that we get approval, and it's important that we pay them now. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Make motion. Mr. Hall.
Just to put a point on this, my understanding talking to Chief Faulkner was that the purchase of the vehicles was already approved through the budget process. The question was the additional funding for the outfitting of the vehicles was in question. So I think the vote tonight is to provide Levy Court approval for the purchase of the vehicles and the outfitting of the vehicles for that total expenditure. And so that's my proposal.
And that's your motion.
I move to approve the purchase and outfitting of all necessary vehicles for the paramedics.
I make a motion as long as it includes doing what we said we were going to do, and we said we were going to do it.
Sure.
Correctly. This $39,444 for a vehicle is strictly for the vehicle times 4 gets Hertrick paid. I don't believe this motion has money in here to cover the fitting out of these 4 Tahoes. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So in the capital project, ma'am, there was $80,000 budgeted for each vehicle for a total of $320,000.
This 157 is strictly for those 4 vehicles to pay Hertrick to make them whole. Has nothing to do with the retrofitting of these vehicles to make them for the paramedics.
That would be a whole different vendor that we would go with.
I assume so. Thank you.
So, this is just for the vehicle, and you made the motion to fit them out as well. So, they will have to come back, I guess, for that at a later date.
Do you want to see the original motion?
Do you have a motion in front of you?
I'd like to have a motion, that'd be great.
That would what?
And having discussed this with Chief Faulkner on the phone, the purchase of the vehicles was not an issue. It was the outfitting of the vehicles that was the issue. So it would be nice to clear all this up and have the finance director here and maybe
I don't
Chief
have it. I
Faulkner.
have it right here. So the motion has to pay the $157,000 to Hertrick and to authorize the payment of $39,444 per vehicle. Okay.
I move to authorize a payment to Hertrick Fleet Services Incorporated of Milford, Delaware, in the amount of $157,776,000 for the purchase of 4 2023 Chevrolet Tahoe utility vehicles at the state of Delaware bid list price of $39,444 per vehicle, and with said vehicles to be equipped after purchase and utilized as emergency medical services response vehicles within Kent County Department of Public Safety, and I direct staff to promptly process said payment accordingly.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hall, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions? If not, let's have a roll call, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the action on purchase of FY23 budget paramedic vehicles has been approved. Thank you, John. Okay, Resolution 3961, Commissioner Buxton.
Thank you. Make a motion that we approve Resolution 3961. It's a resolution calling for a public hearing upon a proposal to dissolve select properties from the Kent County Sewage Disposal District Number 1, referencing Magnolia area, Munyon, and related properties.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Buxton, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve Resolution 3961. Unless there's any questions, give me a roll call, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Item number 2, Commissioner Buxton.
Introduction of Resolution 3962, a resolution upon a proposal to dissolve certain properties from Kent County Sewage Disposal District Number 1, pursuant to Section 4624, Chapter 46, Title 9 of the Delaware Code is amended. Dissolution of Magnolia area, Munyon, and related properties for public hearing on Tuesday, November 15, 2022 at 7 p.m.
Thank you for the introduction. Is there any need for executive session tonight that I don't know of?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Angel, item number 2.
Move to go into executive session meeting following the committee meetings of November 1st, 2022 for preliminary discussion on site acquisition for publicly funded capital improvement, legal strategy session regarding collective bargaining or pending or potential litigation, and personnel matters pursuant to 29 Del Code C 10004 B2, 4, and 9.
That is a motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Sweeney. And if there's any questions, give me a roll call, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed. Any information items, Commissioners? Any public comments? Any commissioner comments? Commissioner Sweeney.
Thanks, sir. I want to publicly thank Representative Bennett, Representative Carson, Representative Spiegelman, Representative Yerk so far. They all contributed CTF funds to help pay for the new ADA resurfacing at our recreational facility, because that facility has some issues with rainwater collecting in the ADA parking. And when it freezes in the winter, it becomes a hazard and a safety hazard. So the 4 of them so far have signed on for helping pay for that using CTF funds. And I do this as a hint to one of our commissioners who's moving on. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Buxton.
Bear with me, kids. So I don't think there's a conversation to be had next week related to ARPA. So I'm going to go out and kicking a little bit. I want to express a couple just points of concern. One is that I do believe it is vitally important that we all have an understanding of the money that's being presented and how it's being sent out. So remember that down the road as more and more bigger ticket items are conveyed. I do have a deep concern with the budget down the road, not this one, but definitely the following one. And I would express what I've stated before. How do you incorporate the $10 million into expenditures, possibly like paramedics, public safety, that allows us to free up money and then maybe use it down the road to deal with some of the likely shortfalls and avoid going after a tax increase, if at all possible. And then I would offer up the statement before that I've stated before, that I think our municipalities, our townships, we'll call it, are our partners. They all pay a tax, both to their municipality and to us. And if we can participate with those municipalities to use some of our ARPA funds, I stated a very simple program, a 10% rule. So if there's a municipality that received ARPA funds, we'll match it with a grant of up to 10%. Or at 10%, not to exceed $500,000, but no less than $100,000. I think that's a wonderful way to consider working with our municipalities and the $17 million that has been identified that's not been allocated. Won't be here to discuss that, so I wanted to get it on record. I think those 2 things are keys. Thank you for your time.
Commissioner Hall.
Second that motion. I talked to Commissioner Buxton about this not long ago. I think it's a good plan. I think many of the municipalities in our county, just based on their size and the formula that was used, didn't get a lot of federal money, and I believe that we got quite a bit, and I would be supportive of that 10% algorithm, thinking about how best to spend the remaining portion of our funds. That's all.
Any other commissioner comments? Seeing none, do you need a motion to adjourn? She wants to.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Mess, second by Commissioner Sweeney. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Well, Commissioner Buxton, you can sit right there as long as you'd like. We are adjourned.